I'm Deb Patterson, and I'm running for Oregon State Senate in District 10. Why am I running? Because I believe that healthcare should be affordable and accessible to all. 30 years ago this fall, as a young seminary student, I was a student chaplain in a city hospital. I saw patients there with grievous health issues that had been untreated for lack of insurance. Cancer was never caught early there. There were far too many women who delivered stillborn babies there due to lack of prenatal care. But the person whose story still haunts me most was a man whose bed had been pushed up near a window so that he could look out. I walked over to talk with him and noticed something strange about the shape of the sheets covering him. I looked down and realized that his legs were gone. His arms were gone too. His body had been reduced to a head and a torso. This man had no health insurance and unmanaged diabetes. I swore that day 30 years ago that I would do everything in my power to keep any other person from suffering a fate like that. I went back to school after seminary and earned a master's in health administration from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. For decades now, I've been an advocate fighting for access to care. I ran an international health organization which grew to serve in 23 countries around the world. I was founding vice president of a children's health foundation, focusing on early intervention in health and education. I served on the senior management team of a large health system. I've fought for access to care since 1988. I'm also married and the mom of 2 young adult children. When my special needs daughter needed extra help with her transition from high school into employment, I stepped down from my healthcare advocacy work and returned to active ministry in the church part-time. Now I'm serving as ordained clergy in a congregational church, helping people get access to needed services here in this area. And I'm still concerned that we can do better. I'm out there knocking on a lot of doors, listening to people. Folks are still losing their homes due to medical debt. 1/3 of all GoFundMe accounts are to raise money to cover medical bills. Businesses, particularly small family businesses, are spending way too much of their income on health insurance rather than raises for their employees. I've seen healthcare around the world, and I know we can do better. I know we can do better for our young people, too. In Oregon, we are near the bottom of the nation in graduation rates. We need to invest in career technical education, not just talk about it, in every high school, and require large corporations to pay their fair share in educating their workforce. We need to make college more affordable for everyone who wants to attend. We need to start our investments in education earlier, with more support for early childhood education and help for special needs students from early childhood through transition services. When kids graduate, they need affordable housing options and living wage jobs. Don't we all? Finally, I'm running because we need to stand up at the state level to protect our environment and human and civil rights for all those who live and work in Oregon. I believe we can and must have clean energy jobs with good wages that will help mitigate the effects of carbon emissions and which will be a savvy investment for the present and for our future. I give the incumbent great credit for her remarkable career in public service. Recently, however, she has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign funds from special interests. If I were convinced that the incumbent in this district was still representing the views and best interests of the majority of the citizens of this district, I would not be running in this race. But she has voted against net neutrality, paid sick leave, raising the minimum wage, background checks on private gun sales, reproductive health equity, and establishing the Oregon Retirement Savings Board. She voted against penalties for financial advisors who take advantage of seniors and people with disabilities, and against prohibiting discrimination in selling, renting, or leasing property. She voted against the Toxic Free Kids Act and against tax credits for contributions to college scholarships in the Opportunity Grant Fund. I'm committed to serving the people of this district, not special interests, and I'm asking for your vote. I've been endorsed by the Oregon Education Association, the Oregon School Employees Association, and the American Federation of Teachers in Oregon, and the Sierra Club, Oregon League of Conservation Voters, Planned Parenthood, AFSCME, SEIU, and many others. You can learn more about my campaign, endorsements, and ways to help at www.debpattersonor.org. Thank you for your support.
Hello, I'm State Senator Jackie Winters, and I'm running for re-election for Senate District 10. Serving as your state senator has been truly an honor, and I respectfully ask for your support and your vote again. Oregon is a great place to live. I know because I was raised here, and I have been a part of this community for over 47 years. I have been a part and have served on many organizations, such as President of NAACP, Human Rights Commission. Together, we work to build a positive race relationship here, helping create the Bite of Salem as a member of the South Salem Rotary. Yes, I tied many of Jackie's ribs bibs on many of you. Yes, you know what? 18 years I served you, your children, your families, and your neighbors. Working as your state senator with the city of Salem, investing in the Mill Creek Center infrastructure. That investment has brought us more than 1,000 new jobs into the community. The investment in career technical education is helping our students develop their vocational skills and at the same time creating a better diversified workforce. I'm proud, very proud, to have been a part of the work that has been done to access health care for our citizens here in the state of Oregon and to reform our systems to serve in health care children, seniors, and people with disabilities, and to make certain that we are working to try continually to get it right. And in doing that, working across the aisle, because this is not a partisan issue. No one cares whether you're an R, D, or I about affordable health care. It is our job to try to make certain we can deliver the best that we can. Oregon has been and continues to be a national leader in access to affordable health care. The bipartisan work that we will continue to do as we work together to find a resolution and solution to the issue of affordable housing. This crisis, the legislature worked and brought forth the local innovation fast track program, a program that recently finished its first, and I want to emphasize, its first 180 units right here in Salem for affordable housing. It's this kind of innovation and investment that we will continue, and I hope that other communities will join what we've done here in Salem, bringing together the state, the city, and the community and private investors in order to serve the needs of our most vulnerable society. Educating our kids, strengthening our educational system will continue to be one of my priorities. It is with this that I worked and helped to secure the $8.2 million in classrooms, in our local classrooms, and a nearly $800,000 million increase in K through 12 funding. I value keeping our neighborhoods safe, and it was with this in mind and working with the City of Salem, Salem Health, and our law enforcement community and others that I helped to make the investment in what will be a new sobering center here in Salem. As your state senator, I have the honor of being a member of the Joint Ways and Means Committee, with the addition of serving as a member and co-chair, actually, of public safety. On such committees, I have the reputation of working together across the aisle to get the job done. And I further have the reputation of bringing people together to solve problems. I'm a widow now. I live here. My 4 sons, who attended Candelaria, Leslie, and South High, check in on me periodically. They continue to encourage the work that I do in keeping your taxes low and of working to make your life, my life, and their lives healthy and happy. I think it's the happy and healthy. But in any event, their encouragement of me, and I have to add, my 4 sons, their wives, and in case you did not know, I have 11 grandchildren and 3 greats. Again, I want to thank you for your support in me in the past, and I want to thank you for your support in me going forward in the future. And again, I ask for your support and your vote.
Hello, I'm Peter Courtney. I'm a state senator. I represent District 11, which includes the building we're in right now as we tape this, downtown Salem, and it also includes Jervis and Woodburn. There are 30 state senators in the state Senate in Oregon, and I get the privilege to represent the greater part of Salem and then Jervis and Woodburn, and I get to be part of 29 other legislators, particularly in the Senate side, that help make public policies, make bills, pass a budget, along with the House of Representatives and the governor, for you, the people of the state of Oregon. And on November 6th is the time you'll decide who you want to be the next governor, who you want to be in your Oregon legislature, who you want to be on your different city councils, school districts, many, many other individuals who are up for election. It's a very dynamic time in Oregon. The last time we all voted, 2 years ago, close to over 80% of us chose to vote. This time I'm told they don't expect more than 70%, and that's sad because this state probably has more people vote than any other state in the union. That's who we are. It's like if you're going to be in Oregon, you vote. That's just what we are. We were the first to have vote by mail. Everything we do, we try to get people to vote. For example, we're going to send those ballots out sometime around, I believe, the 17th of October. So they should be getting into your home anytime then. Our voters pamphlet statement goes out then as well. Hope you'll get a chance to read it and vote. You can also vote, if you now haven't registered yet, on, I believe, the 16th of October. The state legislature is a legislature that tries to do very, very big things. That's just what Oregon is. She's a legislature. It's either the first legislature or the only legislature to do something. We're going to pass a bill that removes carbon from our environment. At least we're sure going to try. We're working hard to try to figure out how to fund our schools, particularly the preschools, K through 12, and we're going to fund it with a dedicated source of money. We've got to do that. We've got to do that to be fair to our young people so they have an opportunity to participate and to develop their individual talents for us all. But it's a lot more work to be done. We've also got a situation where the criminal justice system in our country and in our state has not been doing a very good job on what happens to a man or woman when they come out of prison, how they transition into our everyday life. We can do better. Many other countries are doing better, and we must do better. Oregon must be better. So look for us to try to do something in those areas as well. There's another topic that we're talking about a lot, but we're still not there. It's called mental health. Not a day goes by in my life that someone doesn't come to me and tell me something often tragically about their mental health issues. Well, if we could finally mainstream mental health in our world, mainstream it, have it be normal. When you go to see a doctor, you're going to see a doctor about your physical health, but also your mental health. We're not there, but we should be able to get there. So mental health is also another very, very, very big issue. And I hope this session will make a real breakthrough. We've got that new state hospital, which we came up with a few years ago, but community mental health is something that we could do so much more on. We know that many people in our prisons are there for mental health reasons. So we can do this together. We must do this together. We must be the only state, or maybe the first state, to do something, because that's the Oregon way. Some other things we should look at are things like, we've got to do more, I think, in the area of the whole earthquake. We're working hard on earthquake preparedness, but we have so many buildings that aren't there yet. We know we're going to get hit with the big one. We're working hard. We've been doing it now for 12 years. Hopefully, we can finish our work in the near future so that when it does hit, we can minimize the tragedy to both people and to property in this great state. You know, it's an honor to have this program on CCTV because it allows me to ask you to please, whether you vote for me or not, or however you vote, I really hope you do what Oregon does, what we all do on November 6th, and that is we vote. It's part of our citizenship. It's part of being an Oregonian. Go Oregon, go vote.
Hello, my name is Sarah Greider, and I'm running to be the next Oregon State Senator for District 13. This district includes areas of Hillsborough, Sherwood, Newburgh, King City, Wilsonville, and Kaiser. Many people have asked me why I'm running, why I'd put myself through such an arduous fight. The truth is, I can't imagine not running. As a veteran, someone who's worked with survivors of trauma and abuse, and with special needs children, I've seen firsthand how so many of our community members are being left behind. Our country, the freedoms that many have fought for, are being lost to bullies in power manipulating policy to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. They blame immigrants, the elderly, and public sector workers who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into building this country and who keep it running every day, who deserve to be honored and respected. In Oregon, there are several measures on the ballot like Measure 105 and Measure 106 that directly affect the rights of so many Oregonians. The basis for these measures doesn't come from fact. It comes from control and abuse. Oregon doesn't need leaders who rule from that place. They need leaders who will serve from a place of information, from best practices, and from a place of service for all Oregonians. We must fund training, education, and guaranteed health care, and increase environmental protections so that the legacy we leave our children is one they can build on. We can achieve these goals through a proactive, practical approach to revenue policy and by electing leaders who will represent our communities and know what actually works. All Oregonians deserve leaders who will show up and fight selflessly to improve their quality of life. I will be that leader in Salem. My name is Sarah Greider, and I hope to serve you as your next Oregon State Senator for District 13. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm your State Senator, Kim Thatcher. In November, you will have a chance to vote for me. I'm a bipartisan candidate nominated by the Republican, Independent, and Libertarian parties of Oregon. I've always seen it as my job to represent everyone, and I will always listen to you no matter what party you identify with. As your state senator, my focus is making Oregon a great place to live, work, go to school, and raise a family. And that means working on education, housing, government transparency, and fiscal responsibility. Education is at the very foundation of good government. Our republic depends on an educated and informed citizenry. Unfortunately, our state is failing by many different measures when it comes to educating our kids. We have some of the lowest graduation rates and largest class sizes in the country. We can do better, and our children deserve better. As a mother of 4 children and grandmother to 5, I'm keenly aware that each child is special and unique. Each child learns differently, and their future is bound to the decisions and opportunities we create for them today. It has been my personal and professional experience that children are more likely to thrive when parents have the most options and opportunities in making these decisions. As your state senator, I've been your voice for parental choice and school options. This year, I was appointed to the Bipartisan Student Success Committee. I've been traveling across the state, visiting the most successful schools and some of the ones that have struggled the most. I've listened to hundreds of people, from students, teachers, and administrators to colleges, businesses, and nonprofits, all who are anxious to partner with their local school districts. I'm working to facilitate these local resources and partnerships with our schools. I have a plan to fund schools first and empower parents with options to choose where and how the needs of their children will be best served. Children's success in school is directly tied to their home environment, and that is why one of my major priorities is housing. People in Oregon are struggling to afford a place to live. More people are living on the street than ever before, and it breaks my heart to see this as a new normal. I find this unacceptable and absolutely unnecessary. Our government has put extreme regulations on building new homes. The cost of bureaucracy has become insufferable. It can cost tens of thousands of dollars before a shovel even hits the ground to build a home. This drives housing and rental costs through the roof, to the point where too many people no longer have a roof. Our state has a growing population, but the supply of homes cannot keep up with the demand. The state has an antiquated and centralized land use system that has to be addressed. It has constrained new homes from being built to meet the needs of our growing population. This is contributing to the growing economic inequality we are now seeing around the state. Owning a home has always been one of the greatest ways for citizens to invest in themselves and build equity in their future. We need to loosen the crippling regulations that are contributing to our housing and homeless problem. Property taxes increasing, new taxes keep getting added, fees keep getting added to the coffers, and our state government has never had more money in its history. But the budget priorities at the legislature have failed. This is one of the reasons I passed legislation creating Oregon's internationally recognized transparency website. It allows citizens to directly access and see how and where their money is being spent. Governments around the world are now using Oregon as a standard for creating their own transparency in government. I know what it takes to work across the aisle. Being in the minority in the legislature, I've had years of practice. Our government needs to be moving in the right direction. I am the only candidate running with the experience to pass complex legislation. We have to rebuild our communities and promote self-determination and empower Oregonians to be the authors of their own destiny. I would ask for your vote in November. Please visit me at my website, kimthatcher.com, or follow me on Facebook. I'm always here to listen. Thank you.
Friends, my name is Rick Lewis. I currently serve as state representative to House District 18. I have devoted my entire adult life to public service, and for the past 4 years in the political arena. I am a military veteran, having served in the U.S. Army from 1968 to 1971, followed by 2 years in the Wyoming National Guard. I also served in Iraq in 2005, training and supervising the training of the Iraqi police leadership for the U.S. Department of Justice. I am a graduate of the University of Wyoming with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I served nearly 40 years in the law enforcement profession, with more than 28 years as a chief of police in 3 Oregon cities, the last being in Silverton, where I served as police chief for nearly 15 years. I also served as interim city manager in Silverton for 6 months prior to my retirement in 2012. In 2014, I was elected mayor in Silverton by a strong majority. I was re-elected in 2016 and had just started my second term in office when I was appointed to the Oregon State Legislature in February of 2017 to complete Vic Gilliam's term following his resignation for health reasons. I have had the good fortune to serve on and chair many state, county, and local policy boards. I have been married to my beautiful wife, Pat, for 38 years, and we have 6 children, all grown, and 2 grandchildren. Friends, the general election in November is perhaps the most critical election Oregonians will face in years. The issues are many, and they're complex in nature. We are at a crossroads. Now more than ever, we need leaders who are willing to swim upstream against the status quo of reckless spending and help put Oregon back on track. Oregon has a spending problem because we haven't been living within our means. We have seen record revenues in the past 2 years, and the state has more money to spend than ever before. We have seen significant economic growth, and we have near record unemployment, below 4% for the first time since the early 1970s. But the majority party in the state legislature and the governor's office have been creating new programs with no long-term sustainable funding and no real funding plan. Their solution is to wait until the funds aren't there and then create new revenues by raising your taxes. Oregon is wasting millions of your hard-earned dollars on inefficient and needless programs. The spending in this state is out of control. I will fight to rein in spending and build a budget that meets our needs without wasting money. Our economy has improved immensely thanks to our farmers, our businesses large and small, and hardworking people who know the value of a strong economy. It is more important now than ever before to fight for small businesses. They need protection from job-killing red tape, tax increases, and government overreach so they can grow and create the jobs our communities so desperately need. Quality education for our youth is a priority for me. Failing to fully fund education, even at a current level of service, is simply unacceptable. Yet that's what's happened this biennium. Due to the failure for the past 10 years to address the PERS unfunded liability and unsustainable health care costs. Failing to fund our schools fails the teachers, students, and parents who trust their schools to give students the tools they need to succeed. As your representative, I will fight for full funding that goes straight to the classroom. I am proud and honored to serve the veterans of our state as a member of the House Veterans and Emergency Preparedness Committee. As a veteran myself, I have heard the stories of men and women who gave all for their country but came home to nothing. I am proud to say the committee has made significant progress in a nonpartisan fashion by taking care of our veterans, but we can and we will do more. I'm committed to ensuring that the Measure 96 lottery funds approved by you, the voters, will go to quality programs and services for our veterans and their families. There are many more issues that need to be addressed: affordable housing, emergency preparedness, forest management practices, assistance to farmers, the PERS unfunded liability, and adequate public safety funding, to name a few. I am committed to continuing to work across the aisle with my legislative colleagues to ensure that we appropriately address these issues, not by growing the size of government and raising taxes on hardworking Oregonians, but by improving government efficiency and reducing waste. I am honored to serve as state representative for House District 18, and I ask for your vote and your continued support. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Denise Bowles, your state representative in House District 19. I love our community. I have spent most of my life here. I live in South Marion County in the home that I grew up in with my husband, Jeff. All 3 of our kids went to local public schools and graduated from Sprague High School. My family is the very best part of my life and my motivation to work for the values of family, freedom, and life. A community where people are valued, choices are given, and dreams can be achieved. I have spent many years supporting our community, raising money for schools and activities and serving in the Parent Club, coaching at the Boys and Girls Club and serving with Greater Salem Young Life. There have been so many fundraisers and community events and performances. It has been an incredible experience here. Currently, I serve on the Marion County Budget Committee, which has given me firsthand experience and knowledge of this extensive government we have affecting our everyday lives. I value the time that I spent working in the legislature with then Representative Kevin Cameron, It taught me a lot about our community and how to meet the needs of my constituents. Significant time was invested in helping constituents navigate through government and seek solutions. Bringing agencies and nonprofits and people together is something I'm good at. Government isn't always the only solution, but many times it's part of the solution. We need to have good government. I was honored to be appointed in 2014 to serve as state representative for the people of House District 19. My service in 2014 really motivated me to consider running for office in the future. I introduced and passed a significant piece of legislation that changed the law, raising the penalties for video voyeurism from a misdemeanor to a felony. I experienced what a coalition in this community can accomplish. Advocates, the Marion County District Attorney's Office, and a passionate legislator who knew how to move good ideas through the Capitol. Since January of this year, I've served for a second time as your state representative. I also work in community relations for Salem Health, the largest private employer in Marion County and a true community hospital. This experience has given me a close-up view of healthcare and how it impacts us. I look forward to continuing to advocate for this community. Strong and fully funded schools that are responsive to local needs and priorities. Increased investment in career and technology education options for our students, really moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to public education. We need to be good stewards of the resources we are trusted with from taxpayers, making sure government is lean, responsive, and produces the results that are intended. Decreasing the regulatory burdens that hamper our businesses and farms is important to help them be successful so they can continue to provide jobs and really supports for our community. These are some of my priorities going forward. You know, we live in a special place. I look forward to the opportunity to take my years of experience and leadership to advocate for you as a representative for House District 19. My name is Denise Bowles, and I'm running for this office, and I would value your vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mike Ellison, and I'm running to be your state representative in Oregon's House District 19. Thank you to CCTV for providing this opportunity to our local candidates, and thank you for taking time out of your life to learn about why I hope to represent you in the state legislature. I am a fifth-generation Oregonian who has lived and worked in Salem, Almsville, and Turner for over 20 years. I am a union electrician and a recent graduate of OIT, where I completed coursework at night and on weekends, earning a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in renewable energy engineering. My wife Maggie is an American Sign Language interpreter and a UFCW member. We are the busy parents of 3 boys, ages 14, 12, and 5, and we believe that Oregon can and should work for all of us. I was born into a blue-collar family in the Albany-Jefferson area, where I grew up jumping frogs at the annual Mint Festival and working on local farms picking strawberries, bucking hay, and moving irrigation pipe. I take great pride in the fact that my family's roots in the Willamette Valley date back to the late 1800s, and I am running to represent you because we deserve a new kind of voice in our citizens' legislature. I'm an electrician, not a politician, and I'm running to give power to working-class Oregonians. We must ensure our communities have true representation. I believe that our elected officials should serve the people that elect them, and that their leadership should inspire inclusive community involvement in the political process. As someone who is innately driven to be of service to others, I am compelled to run because of my belief that honest, accountable leadership is imperative in a representative democracy. Investments in our future must be prioritized. As a father of 3, I am running to set the example that we need to commit to what we believe in, no matter how difficult it may seem, and that calls to action should be answered by those capable of acting. I've been able to spend a lot of time in our local schools where I've witnessed firsthand the effects of our failure to adequately fund our children's education. There are fewer opportunities and much larger class sizes than I experienced as a public school student just a few decades ago. I can't accept the idea that our children don't deserve the same or better opportunities to learn than I had. We need to give our educators the support they need to give our children the education they deserve. Working families need a voice in Salem. As a union tradesman, I am running to give the working class a voice at the table so that we can restore the balance that has been desecrated by corporate greed and crony capitalists' influence over our political process, resulting in obscene levels of income inequality. I am running to ensure that paths of upward mobility are not just an American dream, but a reality for all Oregonians, regardless of the income level or demographic they were born into. We must work towards a just transition away from fossil fuels that prioritizes workers and our climate. As a renewable energy engineer, I am running to promote the transition to a green economy and expanding the use of renewable energy. I believe there is a natural alliance between the labor and environmental communities, and that this alliance can create the long-term, high-paying jobs that so many Oregonians need. I'm running to be a research-based voice for House District 19, who will combine logic and reason with a natural sense of compassion. With your help, I'll use those skills to think outside of the political box, coming up with common sense policies that improve people's lives instead of playing politics as usual. I will face our housing issues head on, where I'll work with local officials, home builders, landlords, and tenants to determine the best course of action for the areas hit the hardest by our rising housing costs. I will work to ensure that small business owners have a voice at the table and are able to be profitable and competitive, because I know that successful small business owners and comfortable middle-class families are the key to a healthy economy. Oregon belongs to all of us. As an ally of underrepresented communities, I am running to fight for racial and social equity, where I promise to amplify the voices of groups we have ignored for far too long. As your representative, I will push for changes to our campaign finance and election system so that everyone will have the ability to be heard and affect the way their government works. I will fight for a system of health care that provides better care to more people for less money. I will also protect a woman's right to control her own body, while doing everything I can to ensure that tough decisions are not influenced by a lack of resources, keeping Oregon as a leader in reproductive justice. I will always support policies over party or politics, and I will always believe that the success of a leader is measured by the success of those who chose them to lead. If I am elected, you can be sure that your voice will be heard and that your thoughts on the issues that affect you most will always be wanted and welcomed. I am a dependable father, I am a devoted husband, and I am a proud member of the working class. With your help, I will be a dependable, devoted, proud representative for the hardworking people of House District 19. Please visit our website at MikeEllisonForOregon.com, where you can sign up to volunteer, contribute, and receive updates. Like us on Facebook and Twitter, and most importantly, please vote for an Oregon that works for all of us by voting for me, Mike Ellison, in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paul Evans. I'm running for re-election to the Oregon House of Representatives, House District 20, which includes Independence, Monmouth, West Salem, and parts of South Salem. To begin with, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to represent you these past 4 years. I believe we've made progress on the challenges we face, improved the lives of working families, and that we have kept faith with our responsibilities to our nation, state, and community. As you begin preparing for this election, I ask you to compare, contrast, and consider the most important factors in any election: service, leadership, and results. Service means putting the needs of the nation, the state, and the community ahead of your own. And for the past 30 years, I've done my best to serve our community as a military officer, as a teacher, as a mayor, school board member, as a senior policy advisor to Governor Kulongoski, and as your state representative. Service is about leadership. It is about learning how to get things accomplished, what to do, and sometimes what not to do to serve the interests of your community. And leadership is earned. It cannot be bought. It cannot be given. In the classroom, on the battlefield, and in the boardroom, as well as in the legislature, I have learned how to bring people together to facilitate progress. As the chair of the House Veterans and Emergency Preparedness Committee, I lead a group of 8 members, equal numbers, Democrat and Republican, and together we have passed significant legislation, and we've done so without a single dissenting vote. Leadership means getting results. It means getting things accomplished. Leadership doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines, and while a lot of folks talk about things, results speak for themselves. Over the past 4 years, we've increased the minimum wage, implemented paid sick time, made the workplace more equitable, more fair, and safer. And we have taken concrete steps toward keeping faith with our duties as stewards of this planet. Here locally, we have established court care, found additional resources for the McLaren Center for Student Success, set aside $60 million in state bonding for seismic upgrades of the Center Street Bridge, invested millions in the development of Western Oregon University, as well as the ongoing City of Independence Renaissance, and together we transformed the governance of our local transit district. In the end, service matters, leadership matters, and results matter. I believe Oregon has made real progress over the past 4 years, and I believe we can continue to make progress into the future. But I believe we need leaders with experience, skill, and talent, that we need leaders with a proven history of delivering upon promises made. This election, we have some big choices to make, and once again, we face real challenges. Together, we must determine what path will provide us an opportunity to realize our aspirations about who is best prepared to facilitate policies advancing our ideals. Together, we can seek to guarantee opportunity for all, provide a safe environment, protect our basic rights, and to promote the future, even as we provide in the present. We can do all these things together. Together, we can reclaim the promise of our people, of our place. This may be the most important election of our lifetime, and given the weight of the many consequential choices to be made at the national, state, and community levels, I ask you to learn all you can about the candidates and the measures, to review the voters' pamphlet, to ask questions, to demand answers, to consider the facts, and then make the best choices you can. Together, we can make this election the best of our lifetime, but only together. I ask for your help, your ideas, your support, and your vote. I ask for your assistance in helping move Oregon forward. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Selma Pierce, and I'm running for state representative for House District 20, which includes Monmouth, Independence, West Salem, and a part of South Salem. When the opportunity came up to run for state rep, I gave it a lot of thought. How often do we say, somebody should take care of this? Why doesn't somebody do something about that? That someone is us. Too many people say, no, not me, never. It is my responsibility as a person from the community to step forward, run for office, and make my community better. 2 years ago, my husband Bud Pierce ran for governor of Oregon. I accompanied him every step of the way. Oregon is full of really good people, people who are hardworking, who care very deeply about their communities and the future of our state. I've been a dentist for over 30 years. The key to being a good dentist is to listen. I work for my patients. I do what they need. One of my greatest joys is spending years giving to my community, whether it's setting up free dental clinics, getting people prepared for career in college, or working with groups that strengthen families. I come from an ordinary family. My first job was a file clerk for the state. My dad worked as a state auditor. Mom went from working in a factory, canning pineapple, to being a computer programmer for the federal government. She believed that women can do anything they set their minds to, and getting the pay the same as a man for the same work. Bud and I had only our education and training and a willingness to work hard when we came to Oregon 24 years ago. Oregon needs an educational system that will prepare our students to seize the opportunity that Oregon offers. Our students need to be engaged, eager to learn, and well prepared for the future. Students of color should not have significantly lower graduation rates. We need a longer school year, a longer school day. Even educators want more time with their students. Our students deserve a top-notch education. Career technical education is an excellent way to engage students. It's a great path for those who want to start a career rather than going to college right after high school. With the hands-on instruction, we no longer hear, why am I learning this? Why do I need to know this? Expensive housing is something that working families, young people, and seniors struggle with. Public-private collaborations can find solutions to make housing less expensive. It includes lower development fees, smaller units, or simpler building designs. As we look around our communities and see people huddled in doorways or sleeping under tarps, we have to think that we can do better. We can do better for those who are on the streets and better for our citizens who are feeling fearful and intimidated. Businesses and farms are the backbone of our communities. They come up with exciting new ideas and are willing to work the long hours to carry them out. We employ the majority of the people in this area. We should celebrate and support these businesses. The business climate in Oregon should be encouraging and supportive. So what should be our goal? We should be the Oregon where businesses and people thrive, our children receive an excellent education, there are reasonable taxes, homes are affordable, traffic is not congested. We should be the Oregon where people work together, support one another, and we get good value for our hard-earned tax dollars that we send to the Capitol. The Pierces are known for hard work, integrity, giving to our community, and getting the job done. It's time to take that to the legislature. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Clem, and I am a candidate for House District 21, the state representative for Central and East Salem. I've been doing this job now actually for 12 years, so I'm hoping that you can judge my words by my past actions, because I think that's a very important way to try and evaluate a candidate. Do they do what they say they're going to do? Now, I have a lot of other hats I wear. I'm a dad. My daughter is here in the public schools in Salem, goes to McKinley. She's 10 years old. And I am a business owner. I fix computers and I do products that go to Asia from Oregon, such as running races, cherries, all kinds of different business-related things, all about trying to grow jobs here by selling products around the world. But I really enjoy public service, and I've really enjoyed being your representative for the last 12 years, so I'm asking you to rehire me for 2 more years. So let me tell you a little bit about what I will do in this next 2 years. There's 3 things I really want to focus on. One is, and the most important, is improving the quality of education. As I said, I do have a daughter in the public schools here, so I do have some skin in the game. And I'm particularly focused on class sizes. Now, to bring class sizes down, you need more dollars getting into the classrooms. So there's a number of ways to go about that. I have been appointed to a special committee called the Joint Committee on Student Success in order to try and find how to get more dollars into the classroom. One way is to raise more revenue, another way is to reduce cost, another way is to shift the spending to the classroom and away from other things. So we'll be looking at all those things with the goal to bring class sizes down, because it is really difficult for teachers to manage huge class sizes. I know my mom was a teacher and she did her best, but it's really challenging because those kids all need individual attention. Another issue I'll work on this session, protecting the folks who live just east of the city of Salem from being annexed against their will. I promised to do that 12 years ago when I've started. If you live out there, you'll know what I mean. You haven't been annexed. I'm in charge of the committee that governs annexation law, and anytime any of the cities try and bring things that would make it easier to forcibly annex you, I always kill those bills. I've worked to give you more rights, such as delayed implementation if you do get annexed in an area where perhaps the city grew past you and you got overwhelmed and we voted on it, but you still got annexed. That's been delayed now by 3 years to help you have time to adjust or move. So I really listen closely to what folks just in the area in between Lancaster and Cordon Road have told me over the last 10 years about their views on being brought into the city, and if so, under what conditions. The last thing I want to talk about is civility and bipartisanship. I've been a committee chair for 5 out of my 6 sessions. I have never passed a bill out of my committee on a party line vote. And right now in this country, somehow the 2-party system has devolved into tribal warfare. Most of us are Americans, most of us are Oregonians, and that's exactly how we think of ourselves, not Republicans or Democrats. And there's a ton of people who are no party because they're so sick of it. I strongly feel that if you can listen to candidates closely, you can detect, are they interested in solving problems, or are they interested in attaching to that part of your brain that makes you want to hate other people, attack other people, hurt other people, judge other people. And in my case, my interest is having us be unified. I want us to solve problems together. I don't want you to think my opponent is the enemy. My opponent is going to destroy this state or this country. I believe we are all good human beings fundamentally, and we can do bad things, of course, but I believe that we need to focus on things that unify us. So for me, that's things like the Farm to School program that brings Oregon farmers food to feed Oregon's children in the lunchroom. That is a classic example of a kind of bill I want to work on. It's passed unanimously every session. It is now responsible for creating 25% of all Oregon school food is grown in Oregon. We're leading the whole country. But it helps heal the urban-rural divide because these foodies in town get to know these farmers and get to know more about each other. It improves the health benefits of children. But more importantly, it's something collaboratively in the legislature everybody can get behind. And so I want to keep looking for ideas and bills that bring Republicans and Democrats together in the legislature, and people from no party believing their government is not about trying to point or blame or find fault or tear down the system, but how to solve problems that affect your actual life in a positive manner. So that's my platform. I hope you will consider voting for me again here this November, and I encourage you to vote regardless of how you choose to vote this election season. Thank you very much.
I am Jack L. Esp, your candidate of choice to represent you in the Oregon House of Representatives for the next 2 years. Why am I the candidate of choice? First of all, we must break up the monopoly that currently exists within the political landscape of Oregon. It is my belief that neither party should possess control of all 3 lawmaking seats of our state government, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the governor's office. Are you one of the many that feel that your vote does not make a difference? That is true, but only if your vote is alone. There are thousands of people like you that do make a difference, and with those votes, we can change what is happening in Oregon. You must complete your ballot in time to be counted November 6th. What makes me the candidate of choice? I'm an everyday citizen like most of you, watching this presentation. Yes, I have a background that has prepared me to serve you as your state representative. It is not as part of the system that is currently controlling our state government, but by my working with various organizations such as 2 county Central Republican committees, helping to organize 1 Tea Party, serving as a delegate to the State Republican Convention on 2 occasions, and working with Oregon Citizens Lobby, analyzing bills before the legislature, discussing them with various legislators, testifying before various legislative committees regarding the effect of the bill on the citizens of Oregon. These activities have occurred over the past 12+ years. I am in disagreement with much of what has taken place during this time and the effect that it is having on you and me. I am therefore requesting that you vote to remove the individuals that are responsible for these actions. What is my personal background? I am a graduate of Southern Oregon College with a major in business administration, accounting concentration, and a minor in psychology and sociology. Shortly after graduation, I accepted a position as Chief Financial Officer of Providence Hospital in Medford. I remained in the healthcare field for over 40 years as Chief Financial Officer or Administrator of hospitals throughout Oregon until my retirement in 2005. After retirement, I discovered that it was not the life I had expected, and I opened 2 separate consulting businesses working with hospitals requiring additional experience and knowledge. I am married and the father of 2 adult children which operate successful businesses and 1 grandchild. What are some of the concerns that I have regarding our government's direction? Fiscal responsibility. Our government should have a limited budget that reflects the income that it has to spend without creating new sources. It is obvious that the current government is not interested in this philosophy. Limited government. Our government should be charged with administering only those functions essential to society and cannot be performed by the private sector. Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment rights must be protected in order to maintain our individual right to personal protection. Our current government is doing everything that it can to limit these rights. Free markets. Production and prices should be dictated by the laws of supply and demand without the interference of government in ways of subsidies, price controls, or overburdensome regulations. The right to life. Each conceived individual deserves the right to be born and a chance for a productive life. These are some of the values which I stand for and which I will base each of my votes on as your state representative. Thank you for this opportunity to present myself, and as you have had the opportunity to hear what I feel is important for the future of you and the state of Oregon, I request that you consider what you have heard today and cast your ballot by November 6th for me, Jack L. Esp, as I sincerely feel that I am the superior candidate for this position. I am looking forward to serving you for the next 2 years as your state representative of House District 21. Thank you.
My name is Tessa Allen, your current state representative for House District 22, which includes Woodburn, Jervis, Brooks, and North Salem. As the first Latina immigrant and Indigenous woman to be elected to the House of Representatives, I am proud of my heritage and proud to represent the district where I grew up. It is an honor every day to carry your voices to Salem, and I'm asking again for the opportunity to continue to serve our community. During my first term as your representative, I have worked hard to reflect our community's needs and values. I fought for access to health care, quality public education, and I've been a champion for working families and small businesses. I have dedicated my career to expanding opportunity for everyone, and as your legislator, I will never stop working for a future where everyone in Oregon has an opportunity to succeed. Access to quality, affordable health care is one of the biggest challenges of our time. I am currently working on a task force to take on one of the most rapidly increasing costs in the healthcare system, prescription drug prices. No one should have to choose between paying their rent or buying their medications. As the former administrator of the state's GED program, fighting for better access and making education affordable has been a top priority for me. This year, I continued fighting for Oregon's future by working to lower tuition costs so that education is accessible to all students. I also introduced a law that protects small businesses, especially those from our rural communities, by permitting local pharmacies to deliver medications to patients via mail. This makes it possible for Oregonians who don't have a pharmacy close by to still get the life-saving medicine they need. Putting Oregonians first has been and will always be my priority. As your representative, I will always be an advocate for paid family leave, so that none of us has to choose between caring for a sick family member or paying our bills. I will make sure that our tax dollars go where they're needed most. That means investing in our public schools and making college more affordable. I will advocate for strong job training programs so that our local businesses can grow and thrive. I am motivated to find Oregonians living wage jobs so their families can retire with security. Every Oregonian deserves to achieve their own version of the American dream, just like I did. That's my promise to our community, and as our representative, I will put working Oregonians first and make sure that our government works for all of us. This November and every election, we have the opportunity to make our voices heard. Your vote matters. So no matter who you vote for, please vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marty Heian, and I'm running to represent the people in Northeast Salem, Jervis, Brooks, and Woodburn as their representative in the state capitol. I love Oregon. It's where I met my husband and raised my son. But over the last few years, something has changed. Whether it's the increasingly partisan politics in the state capitol, the ever-encroaching reach of government into our daily lives, or the persistent corruption we've seen from those in power, it's clear that we've forgotten the values that make our community the unique slice of the American dream we've always cherished. I'm running for state representative because I believe it's time that our district is represented by somebody that puts community and bipartisanship before special interests and political activism. That starts by getting our fiscal house in order. I will vote to balance our budget by cutting wasteful spending, not by raising taxes. Education is a top priority, which is why I will also ensure that our children can receive a quality education. As a Salem-Keizer School Board member, I have fought to keep money in the classroom where it belongs, and I oppose top-down government mandates like Common Core. I also know all too personally the importance of protecting Medicare for our seniors. We should do more to protect our seniors from rising healthcare costs so they can live safely and healthy in their later years. I will fight for our seniors and make sure that they get the quality health care that they are entitled to. Finally, I will do my part to protect good family wage jobs in our community by working with our small business owners and supporting policies that improve our economy. For too long, politicians in Salem have gambled our future on costly red tape and regulation, threatening our local businesses and leaving big out-of-state corporations with an unfair advantage. I'll fight to make sure that economic opportunity is available for any Oregonian that is willing to work hard. Because creating a better tomorrow means working to solve problems today. Again, my name is Marty Heian, and I ask for the opportunity to be your voice in Salem, and I hope all of you watching will take advantage of the privilege you have as a citizen of this great country by sending in your ballot and participating in this year's election. If we work together, I have no doubt that we can build a future that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
The voters of House District 23 have a real choice to make. A choice to move Oregon forward or not. Hi, I'm Danny Jaffer, candidate for Oregon House District 23. I'm the nominee dedicated to reaching across the aisle for bipartisan solutions to problems that we all face. It is my goal to join you and help lead the way in moving House District 23 forward. We are in a great place, in a great state, in a great country. And there's no place here for self-pity, fear-mongering, or bigotry. We are better than that. That is why I choose to move forward. You see, I grew up here. Rural Oregon has always been my home. I was born and raised in Polk County, worked my way through college, and served for over 20 years in the United States Navy as an officer and pilot, upholding the values of honor, courage, and commitment to our country. A true privilege that I shared with other honorable and dedicated men and women every day. Along the way, I learned a lot about what makes America and our state a great place to call home. Oregonians aren't defined by our place of origin, the color of our skin, our faith, or the language spoken in our home. Our identity is forged by our fidelity to true Oregon values: democracy, inclusion, free enterprise, basic human decency, hard work, and the recognition of dignity in the human condition. Sadly, our current state representative hasn't stood up for those values. No. Instead, he has pushed an extreme anti-worker, anti-immigrant, anti-humanity agenda while at the helm of a hate group. We deserve better. As our next state representative, I will fight for what rural Oregon really needs: family wage jobs, good schools, safer roads, affordable health care, clean air, and clean water. I will work on those matters that concern all of us, and I will stand up for those who have been pushed down. That is the Oregon way. Voters have a clear choice this November. My opponent wants to take Oregon backward. I pledge to move Oregon forward. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your vote. You can learn more at my website, DannyJaffer.com. I'm Danny Jaffer. Please vote. Thank you.
Hi, this is State Representative Mike Neerman, representing the West Willamette Valley, including the rural areas around Dayton, Amity, Willamina, Dallas, Adair Village, Jefferson, and Monroe. As a software engineer, I have the unique ability to provide oversight for state agency software projects. We can never, ever have a Cover Oregon again. These projects are often vital to provide services to Oregonians, nearly always expensive, and often very risky. I have the privilege of being a member of the Oversight Board for more than one software project, in addition to the general oversight I provide as a member of the Joint Committee on Information Management and Technology. During the legislative session, I'm on 2 Ways and Means subcommittees. This means I oversee the performance of multiple state agencies, including transportation, employment, treasury, revenue, administrative services, and economic development. This is vastly important. After more than 4 decades of one-party control of the executive branch, it's more important than ever that an outsider like myself look in and take stock of agencies. Leadership doesn't end with my legislative work. I've been proud to have been involved with, and even a chief sponsor of, many of the ballot measures you'll be voting on in November. I'm recommending a yes vote on each of the initiatives. Measure 103 will keep groceries from being taxed. Measure 104 will require a 3/5 majority in the legislature to raise taxes or fees. Measure 105 will repeal Oregon's sanctuary law that protects criminal illegal aliens. Measure 106 will end the practice of the taxpayers paying for abortions. Did you know that almost half of all abortions are taxpayer funded? We have a lot of problems to solve in this state. We have an indescribably huge and growing unfunded PERS liability. Each summer, we're subjected to smoke from wildfires. That never happened when I was a kid in Oregon. We have a floundering education system which fails to serve kids and eventually will fail to serve Oregonians generally. State agencies seem to have only one answer, which is more money, and can eventually only mean higher taxes. If you'd like to support my campaign, go to www.nearmanfororegon.com and join the movement to keep state government accountable. Thank you.
Today, more than ever, we need representation in the state capitol that can be the voice for every constituent in the district. Hello, my name is Dave McCall, and if elected to represent District 25 in the state legislature, I will be that voice. National politics is on everyone's radar. We can't escape it. It's everywhere. State and other local politics often slip through the cracks. I believe this is where the most effective change can take place. Local leaders speaking with you so you have an even bigger voice in the state and national level while also changing our community for the better. Far too often, politicians are blinded by pure ideology. They don't recognize any problems outside their narrow worldview. They do not work on the real issues that affect us here in the district. As your representative, I will hold regular town hall meetings and work with the constituency to find areas of need and listen to everyone's ideas of how to solve important political and state issues. Let's address the elephant in the room. Although I'm running as a Democrat in what is viewed as the most Republican stronghold, and yes, my platform is progressive, this does not mean I would not take other perspectives into account when looking for solutions, if that solution makes the most sense. We live in a district and state where the ideas and opinions are extremely diverse. I want to work to bridge that gap so we can have solutions that can work for everyone, not just hold on to the problems that set in gridlock and never see the light of day outside a committee. But who is Dave McCall? And why am I qualified to represent you in the state legislature? I'm not a seasoned politician, and this is my first campaign. But I have experience in leadership and decision-making that I think our district really needs. I've spent almost 2 decades as Salem branch manager for Oregon Armored Service. I have an Associate of Arts degree in Administration of Justice from Shasta College and studied political science at Western Oregon University. But most importantly, I have been a proud citizen of Kaiser for over 20 years. And just like you, I feel our current representation does not represent me. Let's talk about my platform. I believe we need to fight for every child's education. Oregon is currently ranked at near the bottom in education in the country overall. Our students need us to fight for their education so they can succeed. Teachers currently need to buy classroom supplies for their students. This cannot continue. It's time to respect our teachers and our students by making sure they have the supplies that they need. Oregon's education system is holding our state back and hurting the future of our children. It is time for our government to take up its responsibilities and address this head on, instead of simply voting no to solutions. I believe we need to strengthen our local businesses. Local businesses are the backbone of our communities and deserve the voice in our government. Having once been a businessman myself, I have worked with local businesses and will continue to find solutions that help them. Oregon needs to reduce the heavy burden on these businesses to help them and our communities flourish. I believe we need to look at new clean energy solutions and expand the current clean energy solutions we have already invested in, as well as its economic benefits, and a better future for our children. Oregon can be a leader in exporting renewable energy, bringing new jobs and economic opportunities to our communities. While these three issues are my main focus during this campaign, I am also a strong supporter of equal rights and human dignity for all Oregonians, collective bargaining rights, a woman's right to choose, campaign finance reform, health care for all, and protecting veteran benefits. I will champion these important issues and support legislation to ensure these rights and benefits continue to thrive. I wish I had more time to go here in depth, but please go to friendsofdavemccall.com to learn more about what this campaign is about and what my vision for the great cities of Kaiser, St. Paul, and Newburgh. Remember to vote Dave McCall for District 25 in the state legislature on November 6th. Together, we can bring the voice of citizens back to where it belongs, with the people. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Post, State Representative for House District 25. Now that encompasses Kaiser, St. Paul, Newburgh, and some surrounding rural areas. First of all, I want to thank CCTV for once again doing these video voter guides, because you know what? They're a great help to voters. I am your voice in Oregon state government. I've spent my entire career speaking, and I'm honored to speak for you in the legislature. Now, since you first elected me back in 2014, I've worked hard to bring your ideas, values, and voice to the Capitol. It's not easy. Our district is mostly rural, and the party in control doesn't understand what it's like to walk in our shoes. I consistently ask questions I think you might ask about legislation. I look at budget bills like my wife and I do when we balance our checkbook. I ask state agency directors to speak plainly and explain why they need more of our hard-earned tax dollars. I believe in less government, and I hesitate to introduce more laws. But the bills I have sponsored and passed were nearly unanimous and highly bipartisan votes, and they've helped reduce red tape for small businesses and providing clarity for small farmers. Now, you know me, you know my record, you've seen my voting record, and you know where I stand. I never vote to increase taxes because I believe Oregon doesn't have a revenue problem, but has a spending problem instead. I support the unborn. I support our law enforcement. And I always stand up for our Second Amendment rights. I believe in standing for something, especially one's principles never wavering in those convictions and being consistent. I'm proud to have received the Independent Party nomination, the Libertarian Party nomination, as well as my own Republican Party nomination. I am endorsed by Oregon Right to Life, Oregon Farm Bureau, Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police, Kaiser Chamber of Commerce, the Oregon Small Business Association, Oregonians for Food and Shelter, Oregon Family Council, Oregon Association of Nurseries, National Federation of Independent Businesses, and many, many more, of which you can see all of them at my website, billpost.us. Together, we can move our community forward. I humbly ask for you to vote for me to represent you once again in the Oregon Legislature for House District 25. Thank you.